The Pirates have pitching depth, both in the bullpen and the rotation. And that takes away just about every excuse they have to keep this Carmen Mlodzinski project going. That's next on Locked On Pirates.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to Locked On Pirates. I'm Gary. You're you. We're Pirates fans for some reason. Today we're going to talk about this Carmen Mlodzinski project. Oneil Cruz breaking out, Matt Gorski making his MLD debut, and of course, the weekend ahead segment that we do every single Friday. Let's start with Carmen. Carmen is a good pitcher. I want to get that out on the table right away because what I'm going to say today is not going to sound very pleasant towards Carmen Mlodzinski. It's not going to paint a pretty picture of Carmen Mlodzinski, at least not as a starter. And I want to make it really clear that when I criticize him, I'm criticizing him as a starter, not as a pitcher. I think he's got a chance to be pretty decent in the bullpen where he belongs. He's just not shown a capability to see a lineup more than once. We've had 5 bites at the apple now. If it's, say, like 2022 and the next man up is like Cody Bolton, okay. Give it some soak time. We're patient. They're not going anywhere anyway. But today, the bullpen is taking injury hits. The rotation is solid with the singular exception of Mlodzinski, who could slot right into the back of the bullpen, and you have studs like Chandler and Harrison or Harrington, whether you think he's ready or not. Interesting kids like Ashcraft. Burroughs is even up here now. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. Honestly, Joey Wentz getting a shot or Caleb Ferguson, who wanted to start, remember, back in spring, might make more sense at this point. At least they haven't been proven out. Enough is enough. This team can't afford to make 1 of 5 games wishful thinking every time through the rotation. Mlodzinski's numbers, listen, they're awful. He's 1-3, 6.95 ERA, 22 innings pitched. He's given up 7 earned runs in those 22 innings pitched. Hitters are batting .326 off of him. And I can honestly tell you, most of those bad numbers, they're coming after he's gone 3 innings, 4 innings even. You know, that they're coming when he's facing the lineup a second time through. And his overall picture looks like trash. If the Pirates traded for a guy that was doing what Carmen Mlodzinski's doing, you'd be livid. If you looked at his game logs and you see, like, in the first game, in his first game, he goes 3.2 innings and gives up 4 earned runs. And I told you that 0.2 was the problem of that 3.2. And then the next one, he goes 5 and he gets a win. It's the only one he wins. 5 innings against St. Louis. Only gave up 1 earned run. It took him 92 pitches to get through that 5 innings. 4.1 in the next one. 4 in the next one. 5 in last night's game. And it only took him 77 pitches, but he gave up 3 earned runs. Not the end of the world if that was what all of his body of work looked like. 5 innings, 3 runs. That's almost, in this league, a passable starter, a passable 5th starter. I'm sure the Pirates probably saw last night as a positive. I didn't. Because to me, if you had pulled him out an inning earlier, they win this game. And it was so predictable. Because we've seen it 5 times now. You get what I mean? If we as fans are seeing something 3, 4, 5 times now, and we feel it's repeatable to the point where we can pretty much predict what's going to happen, not to mention he kind of was getting hit hard from the beginning of this one. He got bailed out by the defense a couple times with some nice plays. That's going to happen. The Angels are allowed to hit too. We're just getting greedy with it. And they have better options. So I'm not understanding why we're trying to go this route. That's all. It feels to me like applying fake pressure to yourself, you know? I'm not saying Burrows would light the world on fire. I'm not telling you Ashcraft would. I think we've seen that Harrington probably isn't quite ready. Although at least there'd be something a little more worthy in giving him a shot at it because, you know, he's a starter. he's been a starter. He's going to remain a starter, at least for the foreseeable future. I guess what I'm saying is you've already proven that Carmen Mlodzinski is a good bullpen guy. You've already proven that he is effective towards even the back end if he needs to. He's pretty good at getting out of jams if he has to. He can get that strikeout if he really needs it. He's a bullpen arm. There's no shame in that. This ceased being about what Mlodzinski wanted way back when they made this decision. Making the decision to let him try, they did. They did their nice guy thing. I've seen enough. I think everybody's seen enough. This strengthens the bullpen if you move him back, and it gives you an opportunity to try somebody else in that fifth spot. I would make it Burrows, since he's already here and you're going to be swapping somebody back to the bullpen. To me, that's a nice, easy, direct swap. And with the bullpen starting to take on some injuries now, like Justin Lawrence just went down with elbow soreness. Not great. You know what that means in MLB. And Tim Miza on the 60-day IL. Well, it's time to reinforce that bullpen a little bit. Are you going to wait for Colin Holderman, who's still struggling in his rehab start? I'm not sure that's what I would do. I think I'd probably just move Carmen Mlodzinski back there because I know he can do it. Good effective outing from Kyle Nicholas last night. That's good to see. They need that. But Carmen Mlodzinski still has a home there. To me, I flip him in Burrows. Maybe even if you want to continue with this setup, because he has been getting through the first 3 innings pretty easily. If you want to continue pretending he can be a starter, okay. He goes 3 innings and then he hands it over to Burrows. Don't even tempt fate and get into that 4th or 5th inning. Don't let him see this lineup a second time. Make him a traditional opener if that's what you want to do. I don't think that placates him, and I think it's a less effective use than putting him in the bullpen and throwing him in the back. But hey, I'll take it. My only problem would be that I think Derek Shelton would be tempted when he's gone through 3 clean to try a 4th still. And I think we've seen that. And I want to just take his toys away. It's a lot easier to just take Derek Shelton's toys away than to teach him how to play with them. I don't think he does a good job of understanding the moment. And I think he often gets greedy with starting pitching, especially when there's no need to. This, to me, is a self-inflicted wound. The sooner that they get the butterfly stitches out and close it, the better off we're going to be. The Pirates are now 1-4 in Carmen Mlodzinski starts. Listen, I didn't expect him to be Jared Jones. I don't expect him to be Paul Skeens. I just expect him to be the truest version of what Carmen Mlodzinski is. And that is a good, effective bullpen arm. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the offense and how they're doing right now, how they're performing, how some things are moving along a little bit differently than I think we thought they were, and how one good weekend or one good week series in the Angels Stadium has kind of changed a lot of the narrative on the offense. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Play high quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of the console. Already have a console? A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take your, or I guess your kids' games wherever you plug in. I like to take it in hotels when I travel for work. I think it's much more portable, a lot of fun to have. I like to wind down playing some video games at night. It's not like you can ship a console, and all the handheld options out there, they don't cut it. So I think it's a great option. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max first and second generation, and Fire TV Cube second generation. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe, give me a like, toss me a comment, share it with your friends. Make sure that other people know about the show that you like to listen to. It helps me out, and it helps you out. Better the show is, the more often I do them, right? Let's see. The Pirates this week have taken their team batting average all the way up to 223. I know, earth-shattering. Watch that glass ceiling, everyone. But the exciting thing there is that they went all the way from dead last in just this 3-game series. Talked a little bit in the last episode about how small numbers are affected mightily by other small numbers early on in the season, and that's exactly what happened here. Don't get me wrong, they could go through this Los Angeles Dodgers series that we're going to talk about in segment 3, and they could come out of it with their batting average all the way back down at the bottom of the rankings. Entirely possible, but it is what it is right now, and they're not dead last in a lot of categories. I'm shocked about some of the things they're not dead last in, like home runs. They're 23rd in home runs. I mean, and they're really right in the mix for middle of the pack, I would say right now. 25 is about middle of the pack, so they're not all that far off. What's unbelievable to me is just some other teams, like the Toronto Blue Jays have only hit 13. Can you believe that? I mean, with some of the players they've got on that team, the Kansas City Royals have only hit 12. I mean, that's crazy. Oneil Cruz has 7. I mean, like, think about that. Speaking of Oneil Cruz, I think that's something we have to talk about for real. Oneil Cruz is emerging. I mean, he's having a breakout season now. I think it's safe to admit. 7 home runs already. 11 stolen bases. We've talked yesterday about how he stacks up amongst other center fielders and whatnot. But a 906 OPS, right? He's leading off games with home runs and everything. That brings up an interesting question. I don't think it's something that can change right now, but when you have, like, say, Spencer Horwitz coming back, don't you kind of think it might be time then to move Cruz out of the leadoff spot? Or do you leave him there because you feel comfortable because he's performed really well there? The theory behind it is you get him more at bats, but I think the real theory behind it for Derek Shelton was to get him backed up by Brian Reynolds. Basically, You can not pitch to Oneil Cruz, but you're going to have to pitch to Brian Reynolds. And Brian Reynolds is hitting too. Brian Reynolds is up to a 710 OPS. And you remember where he was, 262 average now. He's getting on base at a 322 clip. He's doing quite well. In fact, the top four that Derek Shelton has been using recently, Andrew McCutchen is all the way up to 257, 57 OPS. Joey Bart, 302, 810 OPS. They're hitting. The top of the lineup is working. But I think like you can stretch it out a little bit more. Like say you get like Spencer Horwitz back. He's notably an on-base guy. So he's slow too. So he doesn't make a lot of sense at leadoff, but it's really hard watching Oneil Cruz hit solo shot after solo shot from that leadoff spot and not at least consider moving him down in the lineup a little bit. What if we considered something a little bit out of the box? What if we stopped marrying Brian Reynolds to the 2-hole and we gave it to Oneil Cruz? Oneil Cruz sits in the 2-hole. He's still close enough to the top of the order that you don't want to just walk him because there's not 2 outs and you know you can just skip past him. You still got Brian Reynolds backing him up. You've still got somebody in the leadoff spot potentially getting on so that his home runs can count a little bit more. And I think you stretch the whole thing out. It moves Bart down. It moves whoever you're having back cleanup down. And if you have like somebody like Valdez in the lineup as well, who's going really well at the moment, you could find even other ways to stretch it out further. It's going to be hard playing Valdez and Horwitz at the same time. So there's going to have to be some bouncing with the lineup a little bit. But that top 4 or 5, as long as they're performing, you've got to keep using them, right? I mean, right now, I could see them finding a way to change the leadoff spot. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa has been hitting. Maybe move him up there. The 9-hole is working for him, and I don't mind him being down there and moving the lineup over. But it's something that I think could be done that would probably help stretch this lineup out like we were just talking about. I would go Kiner-Falefa, Cruz, Reynolds, Bart, Kutch. I think that's a really decent top 5. So might be worth like trying to see if they could shake that up a little bit. And especially as you start getting returning players from injury like Nick Gonzalez, Spencer Horwitz, those types, I think you're going to find that the lineup itself will stretch a little bit more. And with that, I might want to do something with Cruz. The other side of that, though, is if you're going to leave IKF in the 9-hole, well, Oneil Cruz is only doing the leadoff gig once a game. You know, like after the first inning, who knows where he's going to pop up. So you kind of get to a spot where the 9-hole at times is a de facto leadoff spot. And in that way, it's working really well having IKF there because he is getting on base a decent amount. I mean, in fact, he's getting on base at a 344 clip. Again, traditionally, you'd put that in the leadoff spot. I think just with modern baseball, that leadoff spot is more about making sure that a player gets a number of at-bats than it is about the old school thinking of getting on base and getting to second, which it's really hard for me to argue Oneil Cruz isn't the best on the team at doing that too. I can argue both ways on this one, and I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm conflicted about what to do with Oneil Cruz, but I can say he's busting out, and I don't really care where he hits, as long as he's hitting and as long as he's in that lineup every single day. Matt Gorski made his debut yesterday, hit a home run in his very first at-bat, and it was a good at-bat too. For some of you that haven't watched Matt Gorski a lot in the minors, I'm guessing that the leg kick kind of shocked you a little bit. Looks a lot like, man, I'm trying to think of who. I want to say Ruben Sierra or Franco a little bit, like from way back in the day with a huge leg kick. Timing mechanism from Matt. It's also a big reason that Matt is so streaky. He has really long stretches when he goes into them. He's in a hot streak right now. Hopefully the Pirates can ride that for a while and take advantage of it, because he's just as hard to cool off as he is to get hot in the first place. So Matt Gorski could make an impression here. He could flop on his face. Either way, 27 years old, you're not out anything. It's worth a shot. I'm a little confused about why they made this decision as opposed to bringing up somebody else. Like, I feel like Liover Peguero's really been doing great. He has been playing a decent shortstop. I think the real thing was they wanted somebody that could play the outfield, give them a reason to send down Jack Sawinski, and his ability, although we saw it as a little shaky last night, his ability to play first base kind of changes some things too. Gives him a little bit more flexibility, might even give them a reason not to bring Endy Rodriguez right back up, who is on an IL stint. That's a conversation we're going to have when he gets a little closer to being healthy, because Endy didn't hit up here. So if Endy's not going to hit up here, well, there's no reason to be trying to squeeze him into multiple positions, is there? It's a quandary. The offense is a work in progress, I would say. It's got a ceiling that's lower than it needs to be as currently constructed, and even with the pieces and parts that I can think of. And last thing I'll say in this segment, the Pirates made a good move sending Jack Sawinski down to AAA. They weren't playing him, for one thing. And it's funny because he would play like on a Sunday, and then he wouldn't play again until like maybe the next weekend. And people would say like, oh, he's just not been hitting. Well, he hasn't been playing either. So how would you expect him to? I haven't had a hole-in-one this year because I banged up my knee and haven't gone golfing yet. So, how can you say that it's not in there? Well, I didn't get a chance. That said, Jack Sawinski's had over 1,000 at-bats in Major League. It is absolutely beyond time. This is his last option. So there's no way that next year you're going to have this back and forth with him. He either makes it back this year and gets a final shot, or they end up dealing him potentially in the offseason, or even DFAing him. It's frustrating, but for every player that actually takes off, there's probably one a lot like Jack Sawinski who had some success at this level, hit some home runs at this level. That's always going to be sexy to every executive. And unfortunately, he winds up not ever being able to recapture what he once put on tape. Hello, Jake Lamb. Same exact player. Hello, Seth Beer. Same exact thing. It happens all the time. We're going to talk about the weekend ahead next and a marquee pitching matchup that Yins ain't going to miss. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. It's our patented weekend ahead that we do every single Friday here on Locked On Pirates. The Pirates staying in Los Angeles to face the Dodgers. David versus Goliath. Coco Beware versus Andre the Giant. Whatever you want to use to illustrate this matchup. On paper, it's a mismatch of epic proportions. Tonight's matchup, though, in particular, is one that I think national baseball fans are going to tune in for. It's a marquee matchup. Paul Skeens versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Two of the league's best young pitchers, and one of the few times Skeens has entered a matchup as the pitcher who probably shouldn't be the favorite. Think about that. Yamamoto in his last 3 games has like a 0.91 or a 0 ERA. He hasn't given up any runs in his last 3 games. But for the season, he's got a 0.91. It's crazy. He's got 7 pitches that are defined. 5 of them are plus pitches. 5 of them have a whiff rate over 25%, which is insane. Yeah, he's a great pitcher. It's going to be a heck of a matchup. You always go into games like this picturing a 1-1, pitcher's duel, and it hardly ever works out that way, does it? Saturday will bring us Mitch Keller and Roki Sasaki. And then Sunday, Bailey Falter versus Tyler Glasnow. Now, Roki has some great stuff, and he's looked all right, but he hasn't had the easiest time of it as far as like rookie starters go. So he's not the same as Yamamoto. Good pitcher. Against the Pirates, he could look extra good, but we'll see how that turns out. Tyler Glasnow, we're familiar with him. He's going to strike guys out. He's going to bounce curveballs in the ground. He's going to do all kinds of crazy stuff that hasn't really changed much. Bailey Falter's going to do what Bailey Falter does, and yes, his back is okay, I've been told. The Dodgers are 16-9. The Pirates are 10-16. The Pirates would be wise to do what the rest of the league has done against the Dodgers. Do whatever possible to get the starter out of the game. The Dodgers' pen has thrown 106 innings this season. That is the most in baseball. The relievers are decent too, but they're not as untouchable as this bank of starters has been. So if you're going to do anything against the Dodgers, you got to get through their starter, which means you've got to work them out of the game. That has been something that the Pirates have been good at. That said, in their little hot streak of offense here, they've changed some things. The Pirates have started gearing their offense a little bit more towards finding a fastball and hitting it early in the count, late in the count, whenever they see it. Yamamoto, again, one of the rare pitchers that you're going to say has 6 or 7 pitches and can throw them all effectively. Paul Skeens is another. This is going to be, I'd imagine, like the pitching ninja is going to be DVRing this one and making sure that he clips it up as best he can, because it's an exciting matchup. As a baseball fan, I want to watch it. I can't wait. The Dodgers offense, insane. They've got pieces everywhere. The only player that I think right now is really struggling is Michael Conforto. He's brutally bad right now. The Pirates side of things, you're looking at really Ke'Bryan Hayes is probably struggling. The thing is, Ke'Bryan Hayes is working on, I think, a 6-game hitting streak right now, but all of his numbers are falling because he's just not making that same contact that he was earlier, and he's not taking that same approach to right field. I'd really like to see Ke'Bryan Hayes get back to stinging balls the other way. I'm still seeing the 2-hand follow through on the swing. That's important, and it's good, and I think it will help him. But he's got to stick with it, and he's got to get back to spitting on those sliders away, because people are starting to go right back to it because it's his Achilles heel. He was checking on it early. Now he's swinging on it. Sometimes that comes from frustration. Sometimes that comes from taking that opposite field approach so seriously that that's all you're looking for. And then guys bust you inside and you get pop-ups or ground outs. So there's a little bit of a dance there. I don't need Ke'Bryan Hayes to be anything more than Ke'Bryan Hayes is. Get on base, give me some singles, move the ball forward, play good defense, and I'm happy. I'm not as happy as I would be if you hit 20 bombs, but I'm happy. I'm not seeing that right now from him. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see him have a couple games where he has more than one hit. Hitting streaks aren't all that they're cracked up to be if you're only getting one at a time. Yeah, let's do something here. Let's be part of the active game a little bit. And I think another thing that I saw that I wanted to take note of in this Angels series, I thought Oneil Cruz played a much better center field. He did have, one bugaboo, but for the most part, I like the path to the ball a lot better. He does seem to be taking charge a little bit, probably more so with Brian Reynolds than he does Tommy Pham. I don't know what that's about. It could be a relationship thing. It could be that I just have missed it, or I didn't see too many balls over there that were contested. But I feel like he's got a good thing going with Brian Reynolds. I'd like to see him develop something with his left fielder so that there's a little less confusion. But other than that, I like where he's coming ahead. He seems to be controlling himself with his throws now. They're going to the right base now every time. Hasn't made a mistake like that in a couple weeks. So really good to see the progress there. We talked about his numbers yesterday as a center fielder. If he can get his defense anywhere close to that, Oneil Cruz is a game changer, for real. A game changer that this team better wise up and start trying to lock up, because it might just be too late already. Thank you for making Locked On Pirates your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Let's have a fun weekend, because while this is not a fair matchup, everybody, it's always good to see your guys go against the best. It's one thing to see them beat teams that they should beat. It's another thing entirely to go into a series like this with nothing to lose and see what you can get. Nobody should forget that 4-game sweep a few years ago. I mean, it's the highlight of Tucupita Marcano's career besides his betting losses. Let's go Bucks.